Hello everyone. So I'm going to explain today about how to connect to database. So I'm typically using here SQL Express Edition, SQL Server Express Edition as database. So how to connect to database using a DSN from IIB. So that is the motto of this particular video, and I would like to keep it short and straight. So I would like to show you only the highlight points or exactly the required points which are really necessary to connect to database from IIB. IIB version 10 is our installed version, and MQ is version 8 I'm using, that is will be used for putting messages for testing. So I'm entirely creating a new setup, like a new queue manager, and I will be creating a new IIB integration node also, so that you will be familiar with all the topics regarding database connectivity. So I have prepared to create INT002 as a new queue manager, and the next thing, so I hope everybody know how to create a queue manager from UI. It is very easy. So what I'm using is support 1416, and yeah. So while it's being created, I would like to tell you something. So I have already done a test case on the same to connect to database. So it's worked fine, and that's why I'm going to show you with a complete new setup. I have tried with IBM DB2 also, for which the 30 days trial period was over. So I am unable to connect to it right now again. So yeah, the queue manager is ready. So we can directly create an integration node. Sorry. Yep. Okay, let's keep it as int node 2. Okay, and the queue manager we can directly specify it over there, int002. Yes, and we can give it a default name. So I would like to keep it as is without anything, and the debug port as 41s. Yeah. So it will take a couple of minutes. I'm putting everything in the description. Whatever I'm doing, everything will be available in description as steps, and along with the required tools and the commands also for checking the database connectivity. So while this is running, let's go and check out how to create a DSN. So basically what I'm having here is SQL Server Express Edition. So that is the latest one I'm having, and make sure to check Microsoft, like using the management console. Make sure to check whether your database server SQL server is running or not. If it is not running, you have to use SQL server configuration manager to start it. If it is running, it's good, well and good. So we cannot connect to the database without it running, right? So I made sure it is connecting, so it's running. Now I will connect to our UI or MSMS, that is the SQL Server Management Studio, using which we can run the DB queries or create some tables. So I'm going to create a new table for us, a new schema and new table, using which we can directly connect and select some data just for testing purpose. So basically we are over here. Yeah, so I have my setup already done, SQL Server. If you want about how to set up SQL Server and all, that will be done in another video. But for now, let's focus on our motto to connect to database directly from IIB. So I hope you are already having some database installed. I'm showing it with SQL Server Express Edition. but typically the process is always the same for any DB provided the DB is correctly configured. And okay, let's go and connect and see. Okay, so I'm already having two DBs, and let's create. Okay, sorry, having already one ready. So this is what I'm having already. So okay, let's create schema, or shall we use, yeah, let's use the SQLDB one, what that we are having already. Okay, create table. I think I have the query ready. Yes, I just don't want to show you the other queries so that it won't be confusing. So we are going to use SQLDB1 as our schema, the schema that we already have. Okay, and let's go with something like uh, this is some integration ID and integration type, and let's go with some description instead. Yeah, integration description as char. Okay, 30 characters, maybe 50 is good, and that's it. So we are going to use integration ID, which is going to be in the header. We are going to send integration ID through header while placing message into MQ. So while reading the message from MQ, like our IIB will get the header also. So in the header we are going to check the integration ID. Depending upon the integration ID, we are going to select the remaining fields in this particular table. That's the plan. Okay, let's try creating it. I don't know, let us see. SQLDB1 either does not exist. Okay, let's create it. Empty. Okay, okay, so I have created a schema called empty. So, and now we're creating. Okay, so it's done. Now we have to insert something. Insert into empty dot service. Okay, so we're going to have values. What we're having, yep, int id, comma, int type, comma, int description is what we're having, and values, let's have one, comma, int type something, it's an integer, small int, and description as db. That's it. And okay, let's keep it as one. Let's give in some queries to, sorry, Okay, okay, so I'm going to insert one first. Later on we can see how to read everything else. The second one is the same type. Okay, so we have inserted a couple of things. Let's select and see. Select star from empty dot service. So this is what we're having. It's a service. Where's sorry, integer id equals to 1. Okay, so yeah, we got it. So we have to get these two things, integer type and integer description. So let's do something else. Let's get integer type as type and in type comma int description as description in description. Okay, where you can say this one as s dot start. Okay, s dot integration id. So maybe it's not necessary, just we can use it directly, but just to format it we can use it directly. Okay, and so where are we? Okay, so int002 is there. Let's make sure it's really working fine. I'm creating a new project. I don't want to make it lengthier. Okay, so I'm going to create an integration project. Yeah, that's done. You can directly create a message flow like this. Okay, we can create it as DB connection underscore flow. Okay, DB con flow, and what we need is a mq input node, an mq output node, and what else? Yeah, in transmission compute node we want. Yeah, it's done. So I'm going to explain each node later. For if anyone wants, like, just comment it. I'm going to like create more flows for each and every node, and it's each and every functionality for each and every property that will be done later in the later videos. So for now I'm going to be straightforward with our task. Okay, connecting the terminal system and breakpoints for future debugging, and we have to create few queues here. I think we don't have any. Yeah, this is a new one. Okay, let's have in db. Okay, this is the in.db queue. It's done. Out.db. It's done. And if in case we're going to get any exceptions, maybe exception.db. I'm going to connect an exception terminal to this output node. Okay, this is great. Yeah, let's have another output node. Yeah, this is for exception. That's it, right? and this one out.db. Keeping it simple, just to remember it and make it quick. And here comes the tricky part. So we have done everything except configuring the compute node. So once we open it, this will also be good, but we have to configure DSN right now and add it over here as a DSN here. And one more thing is if we take this connect before flow starts, so basically if we place a message, even though if you are not performing any select queries from compute node, so whenever you place a message and this flows get triggered, right? So if the database connectivity is good, this message will pass through this flow even though you're not performing any operations through compute node. That is only when you take this connect before flow starts option in the basic, okay, for compute node, okay. And later on you can perform any operations once you are clear with the connectivity. So this is done. So let's go to IIB console. Yes, maybe it's better for me to run it as an administrator. Yes, it is, because it won't work. Yeah, okay. So I have all the queries already ready, prepared, and what I wanted to do is like, yeah, these are the things. So I have already this TB set up already done. So I'm going to show you how to make it DSN. So mine is ODBC 64 connectivity is what I have to do. See, as this is 64-bit system, we have to go with 64-bit, otherwise we have to go with 32-bit depending upon the architecture of the system. And the thing is, if we are going to install 32-bit applications and our IIB is running on 64-bit, it is not accepting the jars. I faced that issue with IBM DB2 earlier. So yeah, just keep in mind. And for, yeah, so this is the DB, SQL DB that I have already prepared, okay. And it's already connecting. I have to give a password and it's fine, it's connecting, okay. Let me, yeah, SQL INST, select this. Else you can copy it from here. This is the name. So you can copy it from here. Yeah, so this is what we have to get. Whenever we connect, we have to get tests completed successfully. I did not get the server, but I did copy the name and the connectivity is fine. I have given the password and all. It is basically in the setup. So I have got my SQL empty, and now I have to configure this SQL empty using the same password and user ID using mqsi commands in this IIB integration console, okay. And okay, pretty much this is ready. Let's go. The DSN part is done. And okay, actually this is a command I am already ready with. See here, the thing is our node has changed to 2 and this is empty. SQL empty is our, and I don't want you people to see my password. Wait, I'm kidding. So it's done. mqsi cvp space int not 02. Think it will work. Yeah. So node verification is good. It's working. Successful command completion. We have to get this. So if we are not getting anything like this, right, there might be some issue with our node. I mean the command that we have already run. Okay, there is another command actually. Yeah, to check the database part, how to run it like this. Yeah, now it's fine, and it will show whatever the operations that we can perform with that DB but we are connecting to. Here in this case we are using SQL Express edition, right? So for this one, few of the data types are not legible or cannot be operated on, like unsupported versions data types, which are date, time, interval, glob, blob, and unsupported functions are positioned between in and like. So these, keep in mind that while using your eSQL code, you cannot use these data types and these functions while running a query upon this SQL DB. So whenever you configure a new DB, whatever the DB it is, it could be any open source Cassandra or PostgreSQL or this SQL Express edition, or maybe IBM DB2 or Oracle. IBM DB2 is mostly perfectly compatible, that is there. So for remaining DBs, you are going to get using the mqsi cvp integration node -n, the data source name command. If you will run it after the configuration is done using a setDB params, right, you will get what are all the data types that are not supported along with the functions that are not supported for that database. Okay, and I'm going to explain you this command also. This is mqs setDB params. We have to give integration node and then -n, where we are going to specify the source, that is odbc colon dsn, that we have already configured dsn name, and then -u is user and -p is password. So that's how the command is. It's simple. If you really wanted to configure this database or this dsn only to some specific integration server present on this integration node, then you have to give two more columns and again then specify the integration node name, sorry, integration server name. If you want to configure it to the entire node, you can use this directly. So whatever all the servers, integration servers that are already configured on this database, on this integration node, will be affected with this command. If you are going to create a new one, right, you have to run this command again to make sure there won't be any discrepancies. Okay, so this is the DSN part and in IIB node configuration part with the DSN using console. So after this is done, it is time for us to check whether it's working or not. SQL empty. Okay, at present I'm doing nothing, just copying. Okay, sorry for this one, this part I am using my custom Java code to place messages with headers into MQ, as I don't have, currently I don't have any RFH util in my system. Okay, so I'm going to deploy this. Yeah, it's working good, and let's launch the debugger. Maybe that could be the issue earlier. So meanwhile, yeah, we are ready, I think. Yeah, we are ready. this is ready. Okay, so flows are deployed. A flow is deployed along with its compute node. INT 0002. So we have got the input count, open input count. So I think everybody knows this, but I would like to say it again. The thing is, whenever you deploy a flow where the mq input node has been configured with some of the any of the queue in the default queue manager or any of the queue manager, then there will be an open input count on that particular queue. So this is like a validation where we can see before placing any messages. If it is not there, that means the connectivity between mq queue manager or and the IBM node is not perfect. Okay, something might be fishy there. So we are good with this one. Yeah, think I might have to change the queue manager name to connection. Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, here we are going to give int id as 1. We are already having it. This is the one thing, and our in.db is the queue to which we are going to place the message. Okay, yeah, I might have to change the port for this queue manager. 141502. Yeah, int 002. What is the queue manager name? int 002 1415. Oh, maybe there is an issue. Okay, let's see. We can always change the port. That's fine. So it's going to okay. So the thing is, I had to disable the channel so that I'm able to connect from my uh, Java code. So I can place a message right now, and yeah, pretty successful. So yeah, we have got the debug part, and then so how we are getting here is int id into the user part where we are getting it as 1 in our mqrfh2 in the input root. Okay, so what we are going to do, so here we can observe that even though the flow has been triggered, we did not get any error. So it has to raise an exception if the db connectivity was not good whenever the flow gets triggered. Okay, otherwise it will go pass through like without any exceptions. So the db connectivity is good right now. So what we're going to do is make quick changes to our code, and then we can, so what we're going to do is we're going to set to output root to .mqrfh2 .user .services. Okay, service as the part into which all the elements that we are going to select will be populated, and pass through is the function using which we can query db. Okay, and actually this is the format using which of the query. Okay, so I am having the query already ready, right? So let's place it over here, the query, And thing is, here we have to give the question mark, and it's called ID. So I've declared the ID mqrfh to user int ID. We're getting it right. So the same thing, I'm placing it over here. Okay, and let's format this quickly. Okay, now let's go deploy it, test it real quick. So it has been placed, and yeah, let's go into the code. So without any exception we are able to run it. The ID has been populated, and I think yes, the services are also populated. You can see that part. In type and in description are the ones that we are getting, okay, from our query, as is from here in type and in description. So that's great. We are able to fetch those details, and the DB connectivity is good. So this is the query and all. I will place the code in the description for your reference. And so this is what I would like to show you. So this is the final message where you are going to see in mqrfh2 in user, in the headers we are populating our output of the selected query. We can do the same thing into the message body also. So right now I am populating the header. I think it pretty much goes into the SQL part. Yeah, here are the messages, output count, and this is the last message I have placed just now. Yeah, thank you.